Alright, so the Eagles just wrapped up the regular season with a bang as Tanner McKee and the backups balled out en route to a franchise record 14th win on the year, and a couple key guys had big performances, so why is this an encouraging sign moving into the playoffs? Speaking of which, all attention now switches over to the Eagles' first round clash with the Green Bay Packers, and not only did several guys preview the matchup, but this game also may have just gotten a bit easier for the Birds, as we just got a positive update on Jalen Hurts' concussion, and some unfortunate news for the Packers has the potential to drastically change this wild card showdown. So we're going to talk about that and all the other Eagles news as the regular season ends and the playoffs begin starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And the regular season has officially come to an end, and things really could not have gone much better for the Birds, as not only did they close out the regular season with a win over the rival Giants while playing almost exclusively backups, but they also had impressive performances throughout the game that were really exciting, and on top of that, they officially found out who their opponent would be in the first round of the playoffs, and they also got a ton of news ahead of that matchup that has the potential to completely change things. And that starts with the positive update that came out before the game regarding quarterback Jalen Hurts, as of course we all know that QB1 remains in concussion protocol after suffering the injury on this hit from Commanders linebacker Frankie Louvu back in week 16, and there was maybe a little bit of concern this week just considering the fact that Hurts had not even yet returned to practice nearly 2 weeks removed from the injury, but that's why it was a relief to Eagles fans everywhere that, according to reports, Jalen Hurts was present at the team's walkthrough on Saturday and took some much needed mental reps as he continues to progress through the protocol. And as I think we all expected, Jalen is expected to make his return to action in the Birds' playoff opener. And while head coach Nick Sirianni does seem fed up with the questions regarding Hurts' status, he did confirm after the game that QB1 was at the walkthrough and is continuing to progress through the protocol.
Was Jalen present at the walkthrough yesterday?
Was he present at the walkthrough?
Yeah, was he there?
Yeah.
Does that represent progression?
Hey guys, I mean, he's progressing through the protocol. We've talked a lot about that, so yeah, no, you'll keep. And I respect your guys' question. I'm going to answer them all, but yeah, he's progressing through the protocol.
Really, the important day in regards to Hurts' status for this weekend is going to be Wednesday, as that's the first day when the Birds will be back out on the practice field this week, so whether Hurts participates in that session or not will obviously tell a lot about where he's at and what his chances of returning to action this weekend are. But again, him being present at walkthrough on Saturday was definitely a good sign, and if you look at how the Eagles have handled other concussions throughout the season, it's very likely that the Eagles were just playing it safe with Hurts here, just with how close they were to the playoffs, and in all likelihood, QB1 will be good to go for this weekend. So again, that's definitely a good thing. However, in this game against the Giants, with Hurts obviously not playing, it was another quarterback that balled out for the Eagles, and that was the third stringer Tanner McKee, as after having an impressive debut last week against the Cowboys in which he stepped in for an injured Kenny Pickett and threw 2 touchdowns in 4 passing attempts, he picked up right where he left off in his first NFL start, as on his very first drive, McKee drove right down the field with a couple big completions to Dallas Goedert before he capped off the drive with a 15-yard touchdown pass to the rookie wide receiver Anaya Smith on a play-action rollout. And this was just the start to what wound up being an incredibly impressive day for the 2023 6th-round pick, as he was consistently able to move the ball, he was accurate with his passes, and he played mistake-free football the entire game. Plus, McKee was also able to put together a few clutch drives in the second half, including one that began towards the end of the third quarter and featured a few solid gains through the air before the drive was eventually finished off on the first play of the fourth quarter when McKee hit the backup tight end E.J. Jenkins for the touchdown on what was the first catch of his NFL career. And that score put the Birds up 17-3 in the final frame. But that wasn't it for McKee, as with just over 7 minutes to go in the game and holding a 4-point lead, he led the Birds offense on a 16-play drive spanning more than 6 minutes, and it eventually wound up being paid off with a field goal, meaning that the Eagles then had a 7-point lead with under a minute to go in the game. And then the defense in Sidney Brown ended things as Tanner McKee's draft mate was able to come up with the game-winning interception on a deep pass from Drew Lock. So, for one, I mean, it was definitely great to see Sid making a huge play like this, as he's a guy who I do think has a lot of talent, but just hasn't really had very many opportunities to show that this year, so shout out to him for making that play. But again, it was also just awesome to see Tanner McKee step up in the clutch and really just throughout the entire game. And afterwards, multiple guys had some very high praise for the Stanford QB.
Hey, did you see Tanner McKee just throwing dimes all over the field? You know, he's fun to watch. We get to see him dice up our scout team, and it's just fun watching him go out there and make plays.
Yeah, he played so good. We really rally around Tanner, and Kenny and Jalen. We really do. Those guys are all really good players, and Tanner's got a really good energy about him, and brings the best out of us, and we're always fired up, when he gets the opportunity to play.
He's a leader. you know, he knows how to control not only a huddle, but knows how to control a game. So when you're out there with him, you just feel really comfortable. Like, you know, he knows what's going on, and you just got to listen to him and know, you know, your role, your part. So, yeah, he does a great job leading the offense, and it was really fun being out there with him today.
Overall, Tanner McKee finished the game 27 for 41 on his throws for 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 100.6. So, safe to say, it was a pretty impressive start for the second-year quarterback. And similarly, it was also a very impressive day for the wide receiver Jahan Dotson, as after going through a season where he's played a lot of snaps but really hasn't been utilized much within the offense, this week was his week to shine, with almost none of the starters playing, and he took full advantage of his opportunity, as the 2022 first-round pick finished with 7 catches for 94 yards on the day, both of which were Eagles' career highs. So it was definitely nice to see Dotson show us a little life and remind everyone that he still can make plays if given the chance to. And I mean, obviously, this doesn't mean that Dotson is necessarily going to be a bigger focal point of the Eagles' offense moving into the playoffs, but if his number does get called on, this game should only give the Eagles and their fans more confidence that he will step up. And both Nick Sirianni and Tanner McKee seem to agree with that.
We've had a lot of faith in Jahan since the moment he's got here. There's a reason why we traded for him, and so we got a lot of faith in him and the player that he is. Now he has to share targets with some other guys that are really outstanding players, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. But you know, it can give gives you a lot of faith that he was able to contribute today and do the things he's capable of today.
Yeah, he's a stud. Really hard worker. Kind of a quiet guy, but just kind of like the guy in the back that works really hard and kind of perfects his craft. You know, a couple of those timing routes were great. I just knew where he was going to be. And you know, with his speed and the way that he catches the ball and separates, I think he's a really good player. So yeah, it was good to see him, you know, have the success that he did, and obviously was a huge component to us getting the win.
Now, another guy that had a good day and will likely be utilized a fair amount moving into the playoffs is Dallas Goedert, as of course the tight end was just taken off IR ahead of this regular season finale after he had missed the previous 4 games of the season with a knee injury. So unlike almost all the rest of the starters, he was out there playing in the first quarter to try and help knock some of the rust off ahead of the playoffs, and I think it's safe to say that he did just that, as he hauled in 4 passes for 55 yards in his limited playing time. And again, with the playoffs right around the corner, that's definitely a great sign, because again, Goedert is somebody that the Eagles are going to be relying upon. So for him to get out there, catch a few passes, and knock the rust off was definitely big. And overall, even though this game didn't matter in regards to the playoff picture, it was still nice to see the Eagles get a win in the regular season finale over one of their rivals in the New York Giants, especially since winning this game brought their final record to 14-3, matching their best mark in franchise history, which was set very recently back in 2022. So that's certainly an accomplishment to win that many games, especially being able to do it in 2 of the last 3 seasons. That being said though, now that we're moving on to the playoffs, that regular season win total really doesn't matter much, and center Cam Jurgens emphasized that after the game.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a great accomplishment to win 14 games in the regular season, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, make it to the postseason, and now this is what matters. So super excited. I feel like this is, you know, where our season needs to start.
Jurgens is certainly right that this is where things really start to matter, and after Sunday's slate of games, the Birds' first-round matchup is officially set, as with the Packers lost to the Bears, Green Bay is officially the 7th seed, and they will travel to Philly for a Week 1 rematch in the first round at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday. And if you remember all the way back to Week 1 when these teams faced off in Brazil, that was a really fun back-and-forth contest that probably could have gone either way, but the Birds found a way to grind out the win, but it certainly wasn't easy. And now, fast forward to the present, with these 2 teams set to face off in the playoffs, and things have changed significantly for both teams, but I think even with those changes, it's still going to be a very tough matchup. And after the regular season finale, multiple Eagles briefly preview the upcoming playoff matchup with Green Bay.
It's been a hard game, you know, it's the playoffs at the end of the day. We know what they're about. We see them already. They're a good team when we played them the first time. We had to make sure that we on our P's and Q's because the game was close too. And but at the end of the day, it's a playoff mindset. It's a new season going into next week, and we just have to treat it as such.
You know, I'm excited for the opportunity. It's my first time in the playoffs, so you know I can't wait. The Packers are a great team, and you know we have a great team here, so it's gonna be a good showdown.
Yeah, I feel like they did. You know, that 4-3 front. They got some good D linemen, good linebackers. I'm excited about the challenge.
Very explosive offense. They have a very explosive offense when they really get clicking. They have awesome wide receivers. hell of a running back, and you know, that's just the formula to a great team. And we have to make sure that we get our physicality, and we make sure that we put our hits on display. And you know, I feel like we go into the game, we take care of business, we do what we're supposed to, and we stay true to who we are. We have a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no denying that the Packers are a good team and they provide a tough matchup for multiple reasons, so the Eagles are going to have to be ready for it. Fortunately for the Eagles, though, they may have just caught a major break ahead of the first-round matchup in the form of some unfortunate developments for the Packers. So don't worry, we're going to get into that in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout this entire playoff run and moving forward after that, then make sure you guys subscribe, and also really, really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. Trust me, you guys are not going to want to miss any of the Eagles coverage I got coming on this channel. I cover the Birds pretty much daily here, so if you want to stay up to date on all the latest Eagles news, this is the spot. So again, subscribe and turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can get to 700 likes on today's video. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying, the Eagles may have just caught a bit of a break ahead of their first round matchup with Green Bay, and it comes in the form of some more unfortunate injury news for the Packers. Now, last week, Green Bay got the news that their star corner Jair Alexander had opted to get arthroscopic knee surgery after months of playing through pain, meaning that he would be out for the entirety of the playoffs, and the only real chance he had of returning would be if the Packers made it to the Super Bowl. So it's definitely a very tough blow for Green Bay, but things only got worse on Sunday as they saw a couple of their key offensive players go down with injuries. And that starts with quarterback Jordan Love, as he exited the game in the second quarter after being hit in the elbow on his throwing arm, and he never returned. Now, luckily for the Packers, the injury wasn't deemed very serious, as head coach Matt LaFleur revealed after the game that Love was cleared to go back in, but they just held him out for precautionary reasons. And when asked about the playoff game next week against the Eagles, he said that Love would be good to go. So again, that's definitely good news if you are the Packers. Still though, although again it's not serious, there is an off chance that the injury could possibly affect how Love plays, so that could drastically change the matchup. Plus, the second-year starter also hasn't really been playing his best ball to close the season either, so this will definitely be a situation to monitor this week heading into and during this first round game. But the more serious injury news for the Packers is actually in regards to one of their more important receiving weapons, as wide receiver Christian Watson went down with a non-contact knee injury on the same drive as Love, and he actually had to be carted off the field. And while obviously you hope that he's okay and the injury isn't too serious, it certainly didn't look very good. So we'll obviously get an update on that probably today or maybe a little bit later in the week, but if I had to guess, I would say that Watson at bare minimum is not going to suit up for this wild card matchup against the Eagles, and that's a big loss because Watson is the Packers' third leading receiver, and he's a big play threat as he's averaging over 20 yards per catch on the season. So again, that definitely sucks because you never want to see anybody get injured, especially like that. That being said though, these injuries to Watson, Alexander, and possibly even Love all change this first round matchup, and if you're the Eagles, there is no denying that these injuries probably do make this first round game a bit easier, as all those guys are very important pieces of the Packers team. But again, even with all that, this still will not be an easy game, and the Eagles are gonna have to be ready by the time game day rolls around on Sunday. But what do you guys think? Just how much do these injuries change this game, and also how confident are you in the Eagles ahead of this first round matchup against the Green Bay Packers? You can let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, and also again, while you're at it, if you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage coming throughout this entire playoff run, then make sure you guys subscribe and also turn on notifications, and also make sure you drop a like as well to show some support if you did enjoy this video. Again, let's see if we can get to 700 likes today, and if you want to watch another Eagles video going over some other news, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.